Hello there, and I'm going to teach you the basics of percentages. Percentages are fractions with denominators of 100, with a denominator of 100. So for example, 7% is the same as writing 7 over 100. 50% is the same as writing 50 over 100, except 50 over 100 can be simplified because as a fraction, it can be simplified down to a half. So 50% is the same way of asking a half. Percent means out of 100, hence the title percentages, because they are out of 100, which is why a percentage has 100 as a denominator. There are multiple ways of finding a percentage of an amount, which we're going to go through in this video. You can do it by using a simple fraction. This is useful when it comes to finding out percentages that can also be written as simple fractions, as I just mentioned. 50% is the same as writing a half, 25% is the same as writing a quarter, 75% is the same as writing 3/4, 10%, 1/10, 20%, 1/5. You catch my drift. There's another way. Unitary method. So you can use this method when you are finding out percentages where the percentage cannot be written as a simple fraction, or it might be too hard to be written as a simple fraction and worked out that way. So unitary method is where you try to find out 1% of something and then you multiply it by whatever multiple you need to get to the percentage that you're originally trying to find. So for example, if you're trying to find 6% or 30, let's say you're trying to find 13% of something, 13% of 200, you want to find out what 1% of 200 is, and then to get to 1% to 13%, you multiply that by 13. So whatever 1% of 200 is, which is 2, you would also multiply 2 by 13 as well to get what 13% of 200 is. Therefore, you'd get 26. So that's what I mean when you use the unitary method. And then the final method is the one sequence. This is where you can do everything all in one go. So as in, instead of using the unitary method, you can just divide the percentage. So the percentage by 100. So for example, 15% of 40, you can do 50 divided by 100 and then multiply by 40, and that's how you work out your percentage of that's how you work out the 15% of 40. So I'll go through that step later on in the video. So let's jump first into the first question. Let's jump into the first question. Work out 25% of £120. 25% can also be written as a fraction (1/4). So you trying to find 25% of a value is the same as multiplying that value, multiplying the fraction by 120, or more or less just dividing it by the denominator and then multiplying by the numerator. So a quarter is the same as doing a quarter. So 25% of 120 is equal to a quarter multiplied by 120. It's the same as 120 divided by 4. And therefore you get 30. So therefore 25% of 120 is equal to £30. Let's move on to the next question. What is 6% of 250? So in this case, we're going to use the unitary method. So we're going to find out what 1% is. So we're going to find out what 1% of 250 is. So 1% of 250 is the same as writing, is the same as doing 250 divided by 100. That's how you'd work out what 1% is. 250 divided by 100 is 2.5. So therefore 1% is equal to 2.5. We're trying to find out what 6% is. So to get 1% to 6%, you multiply that by 6. So therefore you also multiply what the value of 1% is by 6 as well. So you'll multiply 2.5 also by 6 to get, which is 15. So therefore 6% of £250 is £15. So that's how you use the unitary method. So move on to the next question. Find out how much 78% of 350 is. So we can use the method of one sequence where we can do it all in one go. So 78% of 350, we can do 78 divided by, so in one sequence we're going to do 78 divided by 100 multiplied by 350. And if you actually look at the previous methods, there's a slight parallel in this step. How we divide by 100 and then we multiply. So we see with the unitary method, we divide the value by 100 and then we multiply by the percentage. In this case, we can divide the percentage by 100 and multiply by the value. So 78 divided by 100 multiplied by 350 is 273. And if you want to, you might not want to do that because of maybe the calculator could get the operations confused if you're familiar with bid mass or bod mass. So brackets, indices or operations, division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. So in this case, when you're dealing with two different operations, you do division first and then multiplication. So you do, if you want to, divide by 100, you'll still get the same answer. You'll get your answer there, 0.78, and then you do 0.78 multiplied by 350, which is also 273. So it's however way you want to, you will still get the same answer. So 78% of £350 is 273. And let's move on to the final question. Work out 55.5% of 1020. So in this case, we can do unitary method, work out what 1% is, what 1% of 1020, and then whatever answer you get for what 1% of 1020, multiply that by 55.5 to get the 55.5 percentage, or you can do the one sequence where we can, it's whatever way is quicker for you. So we're going to do the one sequence method. So we're going to do 55.5 divided by insert, divided by 100, which is equal to 0.55. And then you're going to multiply 0.55 by 1020 to get 566.1. So therefore, because 0.1 is the same as writing 566.10, we're dealing with monetary. So it'd be £566.10 is 55.5% of 1020. And there's your answer. And that is how you work out the percentages of an amount. Thank you for listening and goodbye.